Good morning and welcome to Finally Friday. We are here with you. I am here with you, and I'm so glad that we are together again. I wanted to talk about the challenges of brainstorming and what the brainstorming is. When you think about yourself, your life, what you want to do, what do you come up with? Here's a project or a creative assignment that you can do or not do. Spend a few minutes writing down the thoughts that come to your mind on something you would like to do. Now, I don't want you to write it as if it is a notepad or letter, but I want you to kind of do what is creative. You can make them into little brain waves and jot down something that you've been thinking of doing, that you want to do, something you'd like to finish and accomplish. And we're going to talk about brainstorming and the challenges of brainstorming. It's very, very important. I am Nisi, your host, and I'm so thankful that we have this Friday together. When we brainstorm, we actually are coming up with ideas. Brainstorming was one of my favorite things to do in school because it helped you to critically think. Brainstorming when you're in college, a lot of times you get together with your peer group and you brainstorm. Just about anywhere you go, you can brainstorm. What would you like to do? I want you to think about your mind. You need to use your mind to be able to think about challenges you've faced, challenges that you have met, okay, and challenges that you have yet to overcome. Let me repeat that. Challenges you've faced, challenges that you have not only faced, but you have met them head on, and those that you have overcome. We think about the mind. You know, it has been said that the mind is a terrible thing to waste. But here's something to think about. As you challenge yourself with all of life's ups and downs, have you thought about inspiration to find a place that helps you be able to tackle or face what you need to face? By the way, lines are open, ladies and gentlemen, and our line is 661, or excuse me, 188 721 9260. 1-888-721 9260. We think about our mind and we think about the demands that our life takes. Challenges in our life, we have some big, some small, day to day. We want to accomplish something. When you are thinking about all the things that you have to do, the mind is busy thinking about those things. So how do you feel? What do you think would help you? Your brain reminds you of the many things that you face. You think about feeling stressed, feeling productive, feeling your lack of ability or ability thereof. There is disorganization, being overwhelmed, and it begins to go this or that. But brainstorming is a way of sorting out. And today's thought is a clear and calm mind allows you to handle life's challenges, make positive choices, and cultivate healthy relationships. Watch how it positively impacts every area of your life. Positively impacts. So when you think about our minds, where is your mind at? How do you begin to exercise your mind? I want you to think about taking a few minutes to think of your mindset. Sometimes we just need a quiet place to sit and think. We need to find a place that is a peaceful place, inspiring place, and most of all, a quiet place. Sometimes we say we can't get a moment of peace and quiet. I want you to think about simple keeping in what you'd like to do for the mind. Your mind needs rest, quiet, and I want you to be able to think about your brain and how marvelously it works for you. I like this thought about the brain. You say to your brain, "Thank you for taking care of me. I'm so grateful you hold all of these things I need to do." And you say, "I appreciate you, brain. But now it's time for you to really listen. And now it's time for me to listen to you. Because I need to organize," you say to your brain. Organizing all of your ideas. And I want you, because I know that each and every one of you, when it comes to brainstorming, or if you've never tried this, I want you to be able to draw circles or draw little art depictions of Maybe you want to draw balloons and put your ideas in a balloon. Because what those ideas do, they create for you to be able to put it on paper. Getting it all out. Whatever your thoughts are, whatever your plans are, and that's how you do it. A lot of people like to create bubbles for their brainstorm. They write inside of the brainstorm, they will say, this is a mindset, this is a number, because you could do it in numbers too. Like number 1, I want to clean out the garage, because I've been wanting to clean out the garage, and I'm giving a scenario. Maybe it's you want to clean out your car, and you brainstorm on what you want to do this weekend, and that's your number 1. Number 10 could be long down the list. I want to go for a walk on the beach. But I want you to be able to do this in a way that's going to help you. When you are brainstorming, because brainstorming takes time, you have to think about it. When you have done something and you have calmed your brain down, I want you to think about 2 questions. What does it look like for you when you have handled something or completed something? And then, what is it that you want to do next? What is the next step? We think about our useful tool. Our useful tool is our brain. We must make it useful to us because all of the components are there. If you are alive and can hear me, so our mind is a very useful tool, and we will call it the mindful tool. We will call it the mindful tool. It's useful, and it is mindful. It will help you to prioritize you. So there are steps. Regardless of how large or small your steps are, you will begin to get to brainstorming. When you recognize and acknowledge, like the thing I said about the garage, and that's just a scenario. We say we want to clean this out, or we want to have a yard sale. We plan to do that, right? We get to it, and most of all, we have to prioritize things. If you're like me, I am a procrastinator. I may think about doing things that I need to do, but I will put it off until the last second. Well, we have to think about, does it cause chaos? Or does it not cause chaos? Does it cause calming? And how do we get to the calm before the storm? Speaking of brainstorming, when we get to the calm before the storm, organization is very important. And as we organize, being able to get things in control, we must organize our thoughts. Because sometimes we can feel like it's very overwhelming, the task that we have to face. And many of us are facing different tasks. Some of us are facing the same task or things that we have to do, but in different ways. Like if I say, what's your plan for, maybe getting a better job or getting a job? Or what if you ask a bunch of young people, what are they going to do after high school? And they're talking in their peer group. Brainstorming can look very helpful to someone, because maybe this student is going to go to college while another student is going to go to school, and versus another student after high school take a year off and be able to still make money. When you brainstorm together these kinds of questions that challenge our life, young and old, we come up with beautiful ideas. And what the purpose of brainstorming is to impact your life, change your life, make better your life, those kinds of things. Why brainstorm? Brainstorming is organization. I'm going to hear that word, and I said it again. When we brainstorm, we look at creativity. We look at our plan, our mindful plan, what is in our minds. And when we do brainstorming, we want to think about being focused, moving through what is an action plan. And sometimes when we challenge ourselves to move to an action plan of what our brainstorming of life looks like, we move into situations, circumstances, unforeseen occurrences, but nevertheless, we can still be challenged to move ahead. Now, when we think about brainstorming for our future, and you can do this even with little kids, because it becomes cute. You take a bunch of kindergartners and you ask them, what do they want to be when they grow up? What could they do to help the community? And you take 10 children. You take 10 children and you say, what are some ways to help the community? One says, be a mailman. One says, be a fireman. One says, be a police officer. One says, be a doctor. You've actually brainstormed some plans of how the community helps. But now, I want you to think about the plans that you have made as I think about the plans that I have made. Do you make plans that make you feel like you're stuck even before you get started? Well, let's think about that. Can you brainstorm your life the way you want your life? Even if challenges, roadblocks, stumbling blocks, obstacles come in your way, what can you do? Try this. And I say that with all humbleness. When we breathe, How does that make you feel? When we think about breathing, we really don't think about breathing, but we're paying attention to the breaths that we take. I want you to think about relaxation. I want you to think about where are you going with your brainstorming as you are trying to keep your mind focused. Sometimes we have to notice the things around us. Breathing, settling in, and that around us is life itself. It presents ourselves in so many reminders. We think about what we want to do next, but always remember that deep breath that I just asked you all to take. Give thanks for that. Find yourself in that. Think about this. When we look at our younger selves, and I will have my clients do this a lot because it will tell me a lot about them in one session. And I like to do this, but I'm very careful about doing this. When you look at your younger self, and you pick an age, because I don't want to tell you how old you are, but maybe your best memory may be at 5, while somebody else's best memory is at 10. I want you to think about your younger self as you are facing your younger self, getting to know what your younger self loves, what you're doing, what your dreams, what you are dreaming of. Take some time. Get to know that younger self. Sometimes those things are deeply buried inside of us. Maybe no one as an adult asked us what we love. Maybe nobody felt for us enough to care. Maybe no one took the time to sit and listen. But I want you to think about that. I want you to be able to brainstorm your life and ask this. Think about your younger self, and I want you to think about what if. What if? We've all come from childhood. We've all have the ability to grow up physically, if not maturely. We are we all have felt that we didn't have those dreams. We didn't get to say what we love. We didn't maybe get a chance to love. And this is very important. Let's dream those dreams. And we can even brainstorm as to what we would have liked to do. I remember some time where someone told me as a young adult that they never got a chance to go to Disneyland. Maybe that's not such a big deal to some folks, but maybe they always wanted to do that. And back then, a lot of people couldn't afford that. This gentleman told me that they went and drove in the, I guess it was where they were going to enter, but they didn't get inside of the park. And he said with tears in his eyes that he wished he had always went there. Now, how many of us take that for granted? We have freedom, most of us, to go to Disneyland or an amusement park. But to that young man, that's what he wished he would have done as he was a young man. Never think that something that you have dreamed about, something that you wanted, is too much, or something that you wished for is too much. I want you to be able to write it down. I want you to be able to look at it. And I want you to be able to ask yourself if that dream is still yours. Just like that young man who wished he was at Disneyland. Many of you are very talented. We have artists, dancers, musicians, lawyers, doctors, people who work all over the community. What is your skill? What do people come to you for? Think about that. What do they think of when they think of you? If you have a mirror at home, please, I would like you to start notating. Jot down a note that helps you to see why you are you. In other words, what makes you important? And I don't want to hear anyone say they're not important enough. Because there is something about you that makes you special. Look around. What can you do to make things happen? Remember when I said that about being stuck? Even if you are stuck, what can you do to get unstuck? I like the thought of getting to know something that you haven't done. For instance, taking classes. Maybe you didn't know how to draw. Maybe you're not good at a certain craft. Maybe a class that you have taken a liking to. Do you want to do that? Learn from a beginner's class. Get yourself signed up. You can be anyone, any person that you want to be. Just because you're all grown up, it doesn't mean that you, as that younger version of yourself, it's too late for you. I want you to start thinking about what your ideas were, brainstorming those. Nothing is off limits to what you want to do. Brainstorm it. Come up with ideas. I want to think about your skills. You're learning something new. As you are still that young child, give yourself permission. Some children have had to grow up very serious-minded. Some children have been impactful. Have you ever met some children that were just wise beyond their years? Just wise beyond their years. Like they're old souls and they've been here before. I've met plenty of people. I want you to be able to give yourself permission to play. Whatever you want to do, and your heart is drawing you to do that, I want you to pretend like you are that. What do I mean? You know the thing I said about dancers, police officers, when kids are little, you give them brainstorming ideas of what they could do when they get older. Knowing your purpose in life. You know, some of us love dance. Some of us like to dance. Why not try that? Some of us are challenged to maybe start a new life. And that's why we have to brainstorm to reorganize. Some of us already know what we want to do, but we have to take the risk and challenge ourselves to get into something new. And all it starts with is a beginner's class. You don't have to be long-term committed to something. You could just enjoy something. Music, people love that. Singing, drawing. People go to all sorts of concerts. I want you to think about your ideas, what you want to do, what you want to be. Life challenges us, but I want you to know there is something better. There's something that maybe you haven't been introduced to that you might really, really love. The best part of brainstorming is to be able to identify what you want to do and trying it out. I want to say that one more time. Come a little closer. The best thing of brainstorming is identifying and trying it out. Keep learning, keep growing with new experiences. And why is that? Because you're going to be able to see yourself a lot further than you may see yourself right now. Does that person always have to use their mind to be able to brainstorm? Why, yes. But now, when you think about your brainstorming in your mind, can you do so quietly? Of course you can. You can do that quietly. It only is a few minutes to come up with ideas. Now, there is somebody out there, whether you're from the West Coast, East Coast, South Coast, okay, North, West, Northeast, I want to tell you something. Everybody has an idea. And I want you to think about your ideas, brainstorming your life. I want you to think about the good versus the challenge. What challenges you? What stops you? What puts obstacles in your way versus what makes you freely be able to move about to get to where you are going. Now, here is the thing about brainstorming and using your mind. There are those who snub, smirk, and scorn. How many of you have never heard of that? Sometimes when you're brainstorming, somebody can say something and it brings you to a dead stop, a roadblock. They snub you. And you're easily shattered because your ideas again become washed off, wiped out. But don't you let them. Regardless of their smirk, their snubs, and their scorns, continue to do what you know to be brainstorming your life. Sometimes we don't start the process of brainstorming because we don't think our ideas are good enough. Have you ever felt that way? We'd love to take your call, 1-888-721-9260. So be careful of what you're saying to someone that is brainstorming. Think about that. I think it's important to brainstorm, to calm, and be able to think about the ideas that you have. Think about supporting ideas. You know, if, like when we started the Healing Center, we talked about it, my co-host and I. We thought of where could we get a brick and mortar. We needed cost efficiency. We needed to be able to have something that was stable. And you know what? By us supporting each other, we never gave up on each other. We just brainstormed and came to order. Why is that important? Because if you don't brainstorm something, your mind is stuck in a storm. Your mind is steady trying to get out of the rut that it's in because you don't take the time to think about your plan. But it's important to talk it over in a group, sitting quietly, and with someone that you trust. When you're in a group, what happens is you start brainstorming, and there's a lot of creative expressions. If you've been to college, if you've been in any kind of group meetings, and that's why there is no I, because everyone gets a chance to be able to help brainstorm, and you come up with beautiful ideas. I like it when we all work together. And here's the thought: if you could come up with one great idea, like I gave you the healing center, and how the healing center, not only was the healing center a creative idea, but it was something that we wanted to last. And we're so thankful that many of you have supported the ideas by coming down, by donating. We thank you so much. So if you are concentrating on an idea, I want you to make creative room for one great idea. Even if it's for yourself. What is your aim? I want you to be able to look at and remind yourself of how far you've come. I want you to really think about what you want to do. And when you think about brainstorming your life, don't pass it off as you'll get to it later, but be thinking about what you want to do in your life. What are some things that you need to work on? It's not me as Nisi, the host of Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast, or Trish, the co-host of Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast. But it's your life. I want you to think about creatively living. This conversation is for those who are challenging themselves. Your mind, as I said, it's a terrible thing to waste. I want the mind to be effective, impactful, and even if you have the smallest idea, yet that might be the most impactful one. Brainstorming is all about organizing, thinking about, coming up with plan. And we call this mind mapping, where you can actually take out a piece of paper or a whiteboard. Myself, I love using whiteboards. When you come into my office, you'll be using those a lot, and they give you freedom to write what you will, thinking about how it helps. Now, how does that work? The mind mapping? You have an idea, and then you're going to draw from that idea to branch out, connecting, branching out, using words. Let's take one. Life. Maybe it is that you're suffering from addiction. Maybe you're trying to recover. What is your plan? So you branch out some key words. And I'm using a scenario, not talking to any specific one, generally YOU in capital letters. So you could put you there in that bubble, or whatever it is that you've created to connect your brainstorm. So people who may be in recovery, people who may be in addiction, they say, I'm going to join a meeting or a class. And this is without being told, because if you're doing it because you're mandated through the courts to do it, I don't know how much it's going to help you. But I'll tell you, you better go, because that can mean some jail time. But we're talking to the people who have freedom to go. So you say, I'm going to do this. Then your next plan is, how long do I want to be sober? You're going to connect the dots and put whatever you like. What is the purpose of being able to see and visualize your brainstorming? The purpose is so that you can understand. You can see, you can grasp the concept of why you're brainstorming. Now, as you write down your ideas, you want to think about how you're going to do this. There are many techniques to do brainstorming. Writing your thoughts down in one word. You don't have to write a letter. You could if you want. But this is to help you to be able to understand. We just did one type of it. We want you to think about your activity as brainstorming your life. How do you want to mind map it? And what can you use? Think about your ideas freely. And write until there is no more room. When you are planning something as a strategy, you want to be able to be concise with your ideas. Since I talked about the one on recovery and addiction, what would be your plan for the next 30 days? And you could say, you could put even a day of the week where you want to be on Tuesday. Tuesday at such and such time. The next session comes. Where do you want to be? The next session would be Friday at such and such time. What you're doing is developing a pattern so that you can put it into action. Everyone understand that? And this is what we do with brainstorming. We put it into practice. We don't just talk about it. We put it into practice. We want you to be able to think about, how do you help yourself? Really, that is the challenge, isn't it? Brainstorming comes to many different people. You have an idea that you want to get solutions to. We don't say problems, we say challenges. Today is Friday. Finally Friday. And we want you to think about ideas that you come up with to encourage building ideas. It's so very important that we do this. And you want to make sure, and I say this very strongly, Don't criticize yourself. We want you to be free to express your ideas. And that's the thing, being a life coach and a certified counselor. Think about not being so critical. Even the smallest step is an improvement to nowhere. Or what I mean by nowhere is, I said that wrong. I'm going to retract that. What I meant was, even the smallest step is a step to somewhere. Because if you're going nowhere, then you haven't moved. Let that show for the records. Sometimes in life, we encourage ideas. We want you to be able to encourage yourself. How many of you have ever encouraged yourself? Anybody? I've encouraged myself. Have you ever went to work on a Monday after Sunday and you've had just a fun weekend, just playing and having a great time, and it's Monday morning, and you dread that Monday morning, and like the song says, it's just another manic Monday? Well, do you not find yourself encouraging yourself to get up, get out of bed, get in the shower, brush your teeth, get going, get out of the door? See, we do that. And that's a good idea, to encourage yourself, because if nobody else is going to do it, I want you to do it. And then when you think about the brainstorming, encourage beautiful new ideas. Everybody's idea doesn't have to be the same of how they're going to get to where they're going while they're brainstorming, because you have your own mind, and a mind is a terrible thing to waste, because your mind is a useful tool. Shall we get to it? We're going to be right back after these messages. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Facing the lion is always, always positive. And so I ask you today, as we are going to be facing our lions or challenges of the week, what did you think?
Our Trish is on a wonderful milestone of her life. She is doing student teaching, and we have for you, because she's been so gracious enough to put in for us our Trish's Treasures. I want to say a huge thank you to Trish, and as my co-host, I appreciate all that she does, and we're going to get right to it. We're going to get right to it, guys. So hang on just a moment. I should have already had this up. Okay, just 1 minute. Just bear with me, guys. Okay, we're gonna, let's see. 1 moment. so sorry, guys.
Hi, this is Trisha's Treasures, affiliated with Vibetalkfacingthelion podcast. Mommy's baby. He's sick, so I'm gonna give him his eye drops. He's doing a lot better though. Time to nurse the baby. Now, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna wash his face with the lukewarm cotton swab. He's not gonna like it. There you go, baby. There you go, hands. Oh, shh. It's okay, it's okay. Wait. Let me clean that. Must wash your hands after because that is kitty germs. Yeah. Hi, this is Trisha's Treasures, affiliated with Vibetalkfacingthelion podcast. Hi guys, this is Trisha's Treasures, and it's been a while, but I'm back. What have I been up to lately? I've been up to dealing with milestones. I know that's an interesting word to some people because milestones is another word for accomplishments. Reaching goals. Something that you finished. Finally got to the finish line. And for me, milestones is just another step to getting better, doing something bigger, getting stronger, that sort of thing. And for these past 2 weeks, I've been setting goals and trying my hardest to reach them. So let's get into it. The first goal I set the first week, the first goal I set was I have to be more open, like connect more with the kids, connect more with the students, and talk more. So I was nervous, but I didn't like how the first day went. I was like, I could have did so much better than that. I know me. Like, girl, you should have did better. You should have said more. You should have did your best. My first day was not my best. I didn't like that. So I sat and I was like, I prayed. I was like, God, help me to do better. I know I can do better. I know I'm better than this. So the next day I woke up determined, motivated. I woke up and I got ready. I'm just like, okay, in my brain, my mind is playing the same song. You gotta do better. Be open, speak up,
Come on, you can do it. And so I got into the school. I say good morning to the supervised teacher, and my brain is overthinking. It's like, should I ask for help now? Should I wait until we do an activity? Should I wait until she asks me to do something? Like, what should I do? But I was like, no, just say something. Say something. Say something. Say something. It's Hello, guys. This is Trisha's Treasures, and I'm here to announce that I got a new mic. I'm excited. I'm excited to use it. And I said when I got this mic, I will use it for, talking with you guys. So I won't have to set up my whole studio for a good quality recording to block out the noise and cancellations. But yeah, so with this mic, I'm going to be using it to talk about my music and how I create some of my sounds and just walk around. Probably walk around the house and just talk to you guys because I want to get closer with you guys by. Hi guys, this is Trisha's Treasures, and today I'm going to talk about keeping at it, or what we all say, keep going. I'm talking about this because it is Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast 5 years running anniversary, and just thinking about how we made it to 5 years, and that's because we kept going. Yeah. Now, I'm not trying to make it seem like it was easy, because it wasn't. But just the resilience and the determination of two people, like, you can, not just 5 years, you can continue on. You can continue on further, and it will continue to progress. It will grow if you're willing to change, if you're willing to prioritize the time and patience it takes to do something like this. Now, I'm not just talking about starting a podcast. I'm talking about other things, like working on you. Yeah, working on you. And it's probably hard right now. You're wondering, if I start now, how long would it take for me to get to the person that I know that I am and that I know that I can be? How long will it take? Trust and believe me, I've asked the same questions. Yes, I have. And my answer was, there is no certain time limit to where you'll be just like, I'm good with me. You can't just say I'll wake up and I'll be better in a week when you're working on you, or when you're working on something that you want to do, or the goals that you value. I wasn't trying to rhyme, guys. But it takes a lot of motivation, determination to be the person that you want to be. So, I'm going to talk to you guys about some things that I've been through this Thanksgiving that have taught me about just keep going or keep at it. First things first, okay? So, Sunday, I was going over some old music that I wrote, and in spite of me cringing at some of it, I came across the I Am Trish song. You can find it on SoundCloud on Vibetalk's album, My Thank You to Vibes. That's where you can find that. And I looked at that song and I listened to it again for the first time in like a year. Hi, this is Trisha's Treasures.
Trisha's Treasures is affiliated with Live Talk, Facing the Lion podcast, and we love Trish, we miss her, and we know that she'll be back with us soon. Thank you, Trish, for doing recordings for us and your segment of Trisha's Treasures at Vibe Talk Facing the Lion. Please wish her well. Any cards that you want to send, you can send it through our email at vibetalkfacingthelion podcast at gmail.com. Trisha's going to excel in teaching. She's doing her student teaching, and just call and tell her congratulations. I'm sure she would really appreciate that. Our line is 1-888-721-9260. Trish will be back with us very shortly. Thank you so much. You guys have a great weekend, and don't forget, Saturday, 9 p.m. is our new time for our Vibe Talk After Dark radio show with smooth and chill music with your co-host or your host, Nisi. And that's 9 p.m. West Coast, Los Angeles time. Look for it, whatever that time is, where you are. We are 9 p.m. on air on Saturday nights. What song can I play for you? I hope that you will join us. Challenge yourself to brainstorm using your useful mind and find a place to do it in. Thank you so much, and have a great weekend. We'll see you next time right here on Vibe Talk Facing the Lion.